Day 32, Matthew 5:38 to 47. Prepare. Take a few slow breaths and quiet your soul. Close your eyes and set aside any distractions. Cast your cares one at a time upon the Lord and let Him carry them so you can focus your attention on His Word. Your deepest desire. Earnestness is the key to answered prayer. What is the deepest, most driving desire in your heart today? Cry out to God for that. Meditate. In Matthew 5:5, Jesus pronounced a blessing on the meek. Basically, He said, they're the winners who get it all in the end. To be meek means to be gentle, non-threatening, the type who responds to hostility with a soft, disarming answer. On a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate your level of meekness? Think back to the last time someone showed hostility toward you. What would a meek response look like? Jesus spells out what meekness looks like a little later in the Sermon on the Mount. In verse 38 of Matthew 5, "You have heard that it was said, 'Eye for eye and tooth for tooth.' But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If someone strikes you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also." The natural response to those words is fear. Fear that your rights will be trampled on if you live that way. Do you have rights? Yes. But the question isn't whether you have them. It's how will you use them? Selfishly or strategically? What are some ways you could strategically use your rights, not to defeat the hostile person, but to overcome the evil that person is causing? When someone hurts you, there is an instantaneous reflex to get back at them in some way. Most of us don't do this with violence. Usually we opt for much more subtle ways. What are some ways you tend to retaliate when you are hurt? Think hard, because they can be so subtle that we don't even realize we're doing it. Romans 12:19 Do not take revenge, my friends, but leave room for God's wrath. For it is written, "It is mine to avenge, and I will repay," says the Lord. In what ways does our retaliation crowd out God's vengeance? Back to Matthew 5 and verse 43, Jesus goes on to say, "You have heard it was said, 'Love your neighbor and hate your enemy.' But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? Are not even the tax collectors doing that? And if you greet only your brothers, what are you doing more than others? Do not even the pagans do that?" When Jesus asks the question, "What are you doing more than others?" what does that imply about what the Lord requires of us in the way we love? Answer the question in your life, what are you doing more than the pagans in this area? The story is told of an American tourist who was passing by a leprosarium and saw a lovely young missionary cleaning the putrid sores of a leprous beggar. In his disgust, he said, "I wouldn't do that for $1 million. To which the young woman responded, "Neither would I." The same might be said of loving your enemies. If not for $1 million, what is our motivation for loving those who insult us? Verse 44, "But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. He causes the sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and the unrighteous." The motive Jesus gives us is that by loving our enemies, we will be acting like God's offspring. We will resemble Him. How much pull does the idea of resembling God have on your heart? Ask God to help you become more motivated by the desire to be like Him. Another motive for loving this way is reward. Verse 46, "If you love those who love you, what reward will you get?" Ask God to help you become more motivated by His promise of reward. Pray for others, enemies, and children. Think of some of the people who have hurt you. Obey Jesus' command here and pray for them. Pray for the children in your life. Nothing is more natural than for a child to get even when someone hurts them. Pray that they would learn meekness at an early age. Pray for some loved ones who come to mind. Ask God to teach them meekness. Thanksgiving. What are the last 10 blessings God graciously gave you the ability to enjoy? Relive them one at a time, and as joy arises, respond to God in gratitude. Begin with the first 3. Now 3 more. Now 2 more. Now another 2. Take it with you. Pick one thought from this meditation that you want to carry with you through the day today. What can you use as memory cues in the upcoming day to help you bring that thought to mind at least twice more today?